Welcome to Sharing Life, Changing Lives, a podcast brought to you by the Henderson Church of Christ in Henderson, Tennessee. On this podcast, we explore stories of faith, hope, and love, real-life examples of how God works through his people to make a difference. Join us each week as we share conversations that inspire, encourage, and remind us all of the power of a Christ-centered life.
Hello and welcome to Sharing Life, Changing Lives, a program brought to you by the Henderson Church of Christ in Henderson, Tennessee. My name's Robert Hadfield. I'm the pulpit minister here at the Henderson Church, and joined as always by Bill Wade, our family minister. Hey, Bill.
Hello. Good to see all of y'all today.
All of y'all. Our little Sharing Life, Changing Lives studio is full today because we're here with Wayne and Kristi Parker. Hey, y'all.
Hello.
The Henderson Church supports many really great mission works. And I think when we say mission works, we mean any work that is outside of Henderson, Tennessee, Chester County, Tennessee. So we have some stateside mission works, Tunica, Mississippi, and Tampa, Florida, and Bennington, Vermont. Mm-hmm. And then more than I could begin to count or list off the top of my head outside of the United States, right, Bill? Several. But most notably for today, no offense to anyone else, is a fairly new work, new to us in Henderson, and I think new to you guys too, in Cyprus. That's exciting. So you win the farthest distance award for a guest on Sharing Life, Changing Lives so far.
Nice.
So
right.
I think this is episode 10, and we haven't had anyone from Cyprus before. So
Glad we're the first.
would y'all, for those who may not know you, would you kind of introduce yourselves, tell us about you and your family, and just what you want people to know about you as people?
All right. So, my name's Wayne.
Yeah,
my wife, Kristi.
Take that mic however you want. Sorry, they're awkwardly sharing a mic today, so just manhandle the thing.
And we have 4 kids, and they were all kind of raised in the mission field. We moved out full-time missions to Micronesia in 2017.
Micronesia. Sounds small.
Yep, you have to look that one up.
Small islands. Yep.
And all 4 of our children now, 3 of our sons, they've all been here at Freed for some period of time, and they've kind of moved into their own American mission field now, so they're no longer with us out in the field. But Piper's still with us in the field, and we are all focused. Even though they're here, they're still there in heart, and they're still keeping that mission mindset that was set then.
Did your kiddos, were they basically raised in Micronesia, or how long were you there? I don't have a sense of the timeline there.
So we were there. We were there 4 years on uninterrupted.
Yeah.
But then COVID hit, and that caused major interruptions. And so from then, it was kind of back and forth.
Okay.
But they were there long enough to really become one with the culture, some more than others.
Yeah.
I think
Especially the 2 younger ones.
Yeah, especially the 2 younger ones. And they really quickly adapted to being out there with the local kids and even the local adults. Gavin even was introduced to one of the tribes and became one of the tribe members of the Kapinga Maringi tribe. So that was pretty cool. So that's a whole other world on its own. If we get into Micronesia, we'll be on there all day.
Well, when did you move to Cyprus?
The Cyprus move was really last year. We made a. Yeah.
She's turning the microphone more toward Wayne now, for those of you who are listening.
I'll turn it back. We moved out there in August to begin a full-time work
August 2024.
August 2024.
Yeah.
And so this is our first trip back. Short trip back. We came back because our son had our first grandson.
Hey.
Second grandchild, but first grandson.
Congratulations.
So we wanted to come back.
Yeah.
Spend some time with them.
Yeah.
And also, Piper's graduation.
Piper graduated. Yeah.
We're all
school.
about 2 birds in one stone. At least.
It was
Sometimes
nice of
4 or
your
5
son
birds.
to plan the birth of his son.
Exactly.
When your daughter was graduating high school. That's very thoughtful.
So let's back up for a second, and this is what I want our listeners to really key in on, because what we're talking about today, mission work, you guys have made a way bigger commitment than most of us who have gone on the mission trips have made. So help us understand what led you to become missionaries. That is your purpose, your job. And then what got you to Cyprus? A couple of twofold questions.
Okay, well, so we did do the short-term thing for a while. It was actually, some of it was by choice, and some of it was because it took a long time to raise support to get out there full-time. Okay. But again, we did do a lot of short-term things. But short-term things, you go out, you touch lives, you learn about people, but it's hard to make any major changes to a person, to a community, to a group. If you're just coming in for a couple of weeks. You almost leave them with like that camp mentality that you get from summer camp. But to really change patterns, to change lives, to change what's going on, you really have to really get in the trenches with the people there.
And that happens with the groups too, right? Based on where you go. You're either going to have a really great experience based on the group of people that you work with. Or if you don't have, you're going to, oh man, that was not very good at all. I don't know if I want to do this. And I highly recommend that. If you're thinking about going in the mission field, make sure you make those survey trips because reality is very much different from book learning. It's much different than what people can tell you here. When you actually are on the field working with the people, that's when you find out if you can work in that environment and that if it's conducive to your history, to where you come from, to who you are, who you've become in this moment.
I'm going to step in for a second.
Go ahead.
Oh, hey, the mic has turned.
All right. So also, even though we had we spent several weeks in Micronesia before we went, we spent like we did a 6-week trip out to, a couple of weeks were in Greece, I think, last year going to Cyprus. And we had already taken another 10-day trip previously before that. And we get there to move, and things are still way different than we expected it to be. And we did all the research. We had all the questions. We did all the research that, we thought we needed to do. But any culture that you're not used to or don't know very well is going to be different. But still, getting those trips in and getting those questions answered still gets you prepared. And what he was talking about with the short-term trips, I think all short-term trips. I think y'all were going to get to this, so I'm skipping ahead. But I think all short-term trips are great when they are helping a missionary on the field already anyway. Especially when there's somebody there that can do backup stuff.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be an American. It just has someone who has biblical knowledge, someone who has a good foundation, has a good footing, whether that be someone that's actually from that area or that be some outsider, but someone that can dedicate their time to actually focusing things. That way, when short-term efforts come in, then there are people there to deal with the residuals, to follow up with the studies, to help train those new babes into future leaders.
Good point. I was thinking there may be people who are watching or listening to us right now, and they may not be familiar with the Churches of Christ. And so you mentioned raise support, and we don't have a denominational headquarters. We would not consider ourselves to be a denomination. We're trying to pursue pure New Testament Christianity, just like you read about in Scripture. So there's no mission board that is contributing money to you guys or siphoning that from some big group of people. In fact, congregations we use the term autonomous. That means self-governing. This church over here and that church over there, we're to cooperate. We're to be unified in the gospel. But, if funds are pooled together, it's because you guys went to both of those congregations and said, would you be interested in partnering with us in our work? So that's what you mean, right, when you talk about raising that support.
Right, and that's a very important part of the work is maintaining that contact with the congregation.
You got to have money, and then they need to know that their investments are sound investments.
Right. Exactly, and we actually do spend a lot of time in the mission field following up with those congregations, making sure we have that connection with those congregations, because quite often it can be something like the only elder that you talk to has passed away, and the information, the newsletter now goes to a mailbox that's not checked. We've had things like that happen in the past. So part of mission work is those connections with the congregation.
Yeah. Does that ever? We're way off script now, but we didn't have enough time for the questions we had, and now I'm asking more. Does that become a burden to the work? I mean, can that be difficult?
Yes.
She's already answering.
Yes.
You're taking a minute.
Yeah, it can be, but it can also inject so much life into the work.
Yes,
Good.
that's
Because when you feel like you're out there on your own and there's no one that's thinking about you, and then you get a communication from a congregation, or you start a rapport back and forth, it can inject so much life into the work out there also. Okay. So there are definitely pluses and minuses for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we really, it's not just the financial support that we need and that we appreciate. It's that contact. It's that connection.
Yeah.
It's so important to missionaries that are
One of the
there.
things that I love at Henderson, and this is our podcast, so I like to brag on this church whenever I can, is, and we did it, we're recording this on a Sunday, but the first Sunday of every month, one of our shepherds leads a special prayer, and he almost always includes all of our missionaries by name. And that just helps me to keep that top of mind, And
we really appreciate that, too.
Well,
we've seen that, and we continue to really appreciate it.
And we consider you and your family members here, and y'all requested that, which is wonderful. And so when you're here, you're home with us, just like when you're over there, you're
we love that.
home there.
We love that
Go ahead. Yeah.
we love that we actually feel like we're a part of this congregation, not just, somebody that is working for the congregation. We're actually part of this congregation, and y'all have really taken us in, and we really appreciate that.
Don't you think that was kind of Paul and Antioch? I mean, Paul and Barnabas, those fellas, they circled up, they shed tears, they prayed, they sent them out, and of course, you guys blessed us because you sought us out and let us send you out, partnering with many other churches,
Yes.
But at the same time, it's pretty cool that we get to be the home there for you guys, your home base, and we like that.
Yeah, we do too.
And if you look near the end, the elders from Ephesus all coming and praying. That connection that he had with that congregation there. That's something that, again, you can't put. It's so important to the missionary.
Yeah.
So important.
I'm sorry, Bill. I hijacked this. I didn't mean to. I started asking questions.
Did we answer your
I'm used to
question
it.
at all?
10 episodes,
Look, Robert's the podcast pro. I'm not, so I'm just like, hey, do your thing.
I got curious. I'm sorry.
So did we get anywhere close to the answer?
You did.
What was the question?
Yes, you did. So here's another question, and this we may have already asked it. I don't know. Where is Cyprus?
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so it's in a very unique place. It's one of the reasons that pulled us out there. So it's below Turkey, so it's below Europe.
Okay,
and then on the east side of it, we have the Middle East. Israel is right across the water. Syria is right across the water from where we are. And then below it, we have Africa. So it's really a hub to a lot of different feeder countries. So we have a lot of people, asylum seekers that are there. The island is full of people from Syria and Lebanon and Sudan and another thing to skip ahead a little bit to talk about Cyprus itself. It's a divided island with the southern part of the island being Greek and the northern part of the island being Turkish. So it's really two completely different countries. It amazes me just crossing that little border crossing that we do weekly into the north. The north is the Middle East. It looks so much different, feels so much different culturally, people and everything than the south. And then the south, you feel more like you're on a Greek island. So it's a very unique situated place, which leads to a unique amount of people or types of people that we can talk to when we're out there and work with.
How long of a trip to get to Cyprus from Tennessee?
So it's expensive to go a to go just a single hop. Really, there's a couple of places in the States that you can do a single hop from the States to Cyprus. So mostly you have to hop to somewhere in Europe.
Sure.
And then from the Europe, you can jump over.
Okay.
To getting to the places in Europe is around 8 hours. What do you think?
Okay. I'm the one who does the ticket planning, so I'll take this one.
Behind every great man. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Typically about 15 hours to 36 hours. Like, it seems to take longer coming back when I look at the tickets and stuff than it does getting there. But, the long flights we're used to with the Pacific. But, what he was saying, it actually, most of the time, it saves us a lot of money to, like, fly into London or Paris or Athens,
right.
and then have a night layover and then go. But so that'll, that adds some time. But sometimes we just go from here to there with it, and then it just has its typical stops.
What's the time difference, us to Cyprus?
Currently, that's currently 8 hours.
8 hours.
Yeah.
Currently, you say. So
Right,
did they do something weird with daylight saving, or
Yeah.
we're the
And it's
weird
not
ones,
the
We're the
probably?
weird ones. Yeah.
No, they do daylight savings times, but it's not the same days as the U.S.
Oh,
There's weeks.
It's
okay.
like 2 or
Here
3
and
weeks
there,
later.
yeah.
Okay, so at the time of this recording, there's an 8-hour difference.
Which makes it tough for communications in some ways. We can talk to anybody really before 4 o'clock, but once it hits, the nighttime here, we're in bed and the same going the other way.
So it's midnight there now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Recording
They're-
this at 4 o'clock.
They're
in the
8
afternoon.
hours ahead.
Okay. Wow. You were mentioning the crossing over, and you basically have two halves of Cyprus, so to speak. What is the size of Cyprus, and like how far of a distance is it from the Turkish side to the Greek side and all that kind of stuff? I mean, help us kind of get the lay of the land that way.
So there are a lot of different border crossings.
Oh.
So we can actually
And it's an actual border.
It's an actual border.
Even though it's considered one entity? Or?
It's a border, and it's guarded by the UN. So the UN controls the border. You actually have to go through Cypriot is what people from Cyprus are called.
Okay.
So you go through a Cypriot border, and then you go through a Turkish border each time.
The Greek
Greeks.
Cypriot border and the Turkish Cypriot border.
Oh.
Both of them.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
You have to go through both borders.
You go through both borders.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's this weird in-between holding
Yes,
area
the
or something?
UN,
The UN area.
green line.
It's called the
buffer
Green
zone.
Line, the buffer zone. It was set up. So there was a war in 1974
Okay.
that broke and divided the island.
Yeah.
And the north has been occupied by Turkey ever since. So that buffer zone is anywhere from, in some places it's just a matter of 15, 20 yards. And in other places, it's like 2 or 3 miles. And that area, a lot of that area has been untouched. It's a border. It's a no man's land. So there's still tables that were set from 1970 that still
What
have
in the world?
things on it. So
Really?
Yeah, and it's guarded with like armed UN
Right,
soldiers
right.
to protect it.
Is that still top of mind for a lot of the citizens there?
Oh, yes.
yes, very much.
Yeah.
And well, that's one of the things we really have to be careful about.
Right.
The questions we're not getting to, but
Yeah. We're getting to them, just not in the order that we'd planned.
well, one of the questions you had asked is if there are things unique about the area.
Yeah, see, we're right here, number 5. We're a
There
good
we
show.
go.
Yeah.
So that is something that's very unique, and it's a great challenge,
Okay.
even for this interview that we're talking about, because there's a great animosity still between the North and the South, and there are people that are heartbroken that we even go into the North to work.
Oh.
And there were people from the North that would be angry that we're going into the South to work.
Okay.
So we have to really gingerly approach everything that we do there and everybody that we talk to there, because that's a constant animosity that's still going on between them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take over for a second.
Yes.
Even the words that we use when we're talking about the north, like northern Cyprus and southern Cyprus, like we have to be very careful about. That's why, like, so if we stop for a second, because
okay.
we have to be very careful
Right.
because
And here I am
both of them
ignorant.
are
I don't
very
even know that
sensitive.
I'm
Both
saying
of them are very
things.
sensitive.
Well,
Yeah.
like what she corrected me in, or what she commented on a second ago when I said the Cypriots. Well, the Greek Cypriots consider themselves, the Turkish Cypriots consider themselves as much Cypriots as
they
the Greek
are.
Cypriots
They are.
because
Right.
they are. They're all
Yes.
Cypriots.
Right.
There are people that have come in from Turkey that also live on the Turkish side that are not. They're just Turkish, but still,
Yes, yeah.
they're the Turkish Cypriots that are still there, that have always been there, that have claim to Cyprus.
So it hasn't even been a year yet, and look at what all you all are learning about the culture and the people over there. That's amazing.
Well, you either learn pretty quickly or you just hurt a lot of feelings and get yelled at a lot. So.
Right.
That's really one of the things that help you break barriers. We learned that when we were working in Ponape. It's the fact that you show interest, you have heartfelt interest in their history and who they are, who they're culturally part of, and the culture that's around them, and then you show either, I don't want to call it reverence to the culture, but just you show appreciation of where they are and why they are where they are. And when you do that, when you show interest in them, you show interest in their culture, you show interest in the place where you are, then it opens up doors to what you have to communicate.
Yeah, more trust is formed also.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking, so I'm making an American parallel, and we're a divided people too in a lot of ways. And, I've lived in sort of the deep South where you would think the Civil War is still going on based on the way some people talk.
Yes.
And I thought about that when you guys were talking about North and South. But I also think about other ways that we're divided. And of course, the COVID era exposed so much of that division that I feel was already there. And COVID became a good excuse for it to bubble to the surface. But this helps us to kind of know how we can bridge some of those gaps, because it is important to reach these people. And it could be that there are some who are on the Greek side that would say, to your point, why would you even go up there? And vice versa. Do you? So, and there are some people around us who would say, why do you even think about those people? Maybe they would say, what's the likelihood that you can even reach them with the gospel at all? What insights could you share with us about that?
Well, I'll say that some things that you don't think about, I thought it would be really hard to work with the Turkish people in that area. You know, especially with the kind of the wrapper that we have around Islam here in the States, what we really think about it. But actually, a lot of the Muslims are ready to talk about Allah, are ready to talk about Scripture, are ready to have these communications. It's not a taboo thing like it is in a lot of places. Now, the conversation might not go where you want it to go, but they are ready to have a conversation.
Wow.
And that has been really good. We've actually, we're meeting in a park on the north side.
Okay.
And it's a very public place. And so we were really cognizant of that when we first went in, thinking we have to kind of be in cover of night. But the fact that we've been open with our communication there led to, we have 2 young men now that have been meeting with us. And really it's because they saw what we were doing. They came over and they said, hey, we really want to listen to your music while you sing, and we want to listen to your vocal singing because we haven't heard that before. And so they one of them being Russian, he really hit home with him. And so they just listened to our a cappella singing, just listened to us singing there, and that kind of drew them in. And then before you knew it, they were meeting with us every week, and they continue to.
Yeah, but part of that was we were open to listen to what they had to say about their Muslim faith, also, Islam. And that's how it really started, was a back and forth with Wayne and one of the guys particularly discussing what we know about Muslims and Islam and what they know about Christianity, and just kind of do comparisons. And then it's just led into a lot more conversations about Christianity.
Just civil conversation.
Again,
it's all start in America.
Again, that's another thing we learned in Micronesia is people want to tell their stories. People want to tell you why they are where they are and what has led them to that point, and allowing them to tell those stories and listening, like truly listening, not thinking about, hey, this is something I can say to interrupt them, to win over the conversation so I'm in control again, but just truly listening to what they have to say continues to just open so many doors.
Imagine that.
Just sit with somebody. Just sit with somebody and listen and say, hey, what do you have to say? Wayne will be like, hey, I heard this about, this faith. Tell me about it and tell me, what I know is that true or is it not? And just, tell me about it and your history with it. And
that could help people be a little more gracious to you also when you accidentally say something that is, you didn't mean that offensively. You didn't know. You're just learning the culture. Stuff
we
like
make
that.
sure everybody knows that we are very ignorant to it all and we are very desperately trying to learn.
Endearing ignorance.
Yes.
That's good.
Well, we haven't hit any of these questions.
No, we haven't.
I'm so sorry.
It's my fault. I sent us off.
But what I want to tell you guys, and I'm sure Robert would echo this, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Amen.
It's an incredible. I've sat here and just listened to you describe what's going on for your family, what you're doing, the sacrifices that you're making. I've had so many questions pop up in my mind, like, okay, so is there? When you first got to Cyprus, was there an established church? Did you establish, so many questions. And again, there's so, when you have questions and you don't have a ready answer, most people would say, this is too much. This is overwhelming. I don't know even where to begin. But yet you guys have patience, you have trust, you have reliance on God, on your support systems. I just want to say thank you for what you're doing, and you're teaching your children, and they will teach their children and hopefully their friends, and so I'm very thankful that we can support you. Obviously we support your missions financially, but I hope that you feel our personal care for you.
Yes,
we do.
Because y'all are doing something very special for the kingdom of God, and
thank you.
I just needed to communicate that to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a second to say
you
something?
You do have a second.
Okay. Yes, the financial support it's critical. Like, we have to have the financial support, but people don't understand like how much just the emotional support, the spiritual support, the cheering us on in the background, how important that is. So any congregation, any church members that are out there listening, support your missionaries. It is so, so important, because some of those sacrifices can be just too difficult sometimes. And just having somebody say, I'm praying for you, I'm thinking about you. Like, one of my biggest fears going out there originally was to be completely forgotten. Nobody even remembered that we exist anymore. And for a while we really felt that, and it was very, very hard. So we just, I can't even begin to tell y'all how much we just really love having y'all as overseers and supporters in so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And isn't it wonderful that communication is easier than it ever has been as well?
Yes.
So there's no excuse for us not to regularly check in with you guys and let you know that we appreciate you. And we do. Thank you for taking some time. Your time in the United States even is very precious, and so thank you for sitting down to share these experiences
Thank you for the opportunity.
with our listeners and viewers as well. Well, we want to thank you for being a part of this edition of Sharing Life, Changing Lives. You can learn more about us at hendersoncoc.com, and if you do /podcast, you can find all the episodes of this podcast if you'd like to go back and listen or re-listen to anything that you've heard. Until next time, let's keep sharing life, changing lives.
Thank you for listening to Sharing Life, Changing Lives, a podcast from the Henderson Church of Christ in Henderson, Tennessee. We hope you've been encouraged by today's conversation and inspired to live a life of faith in Christ. You and your family are always welcomed with us at the Henderson Church of Christ. Join us on Sundays at 9 a.m. for Bible classes. We have classes that everyone in the family will enjoy. We meet for worship at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Sundays. Our midweek Bible study takes place each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. We'd love to see you anytime. Be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with others who might be blessed by it. To learn more about the Henderson Church of Christ, visit us online at hendersoncoc.com. Until next time, let's keep sharing life and changing lives for His glory.